Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. So in this video, I'm going to show you and expose how these modern day hijabi women are actually feminists deep down, especially the ones that are brought up in a Western, predominantly a Western culture. Now in this video, you're going to see a sheikh scold some brothers for being too lazy and being a nuisance towards their wives. Now you're going to see the sheikh talk about this, where he advises brothers to come help out in the masjid instead of being so lazy at home. Now you're going to see how a feminist wrote in celebration to this sheikh's comments, and watch me come and respond to this and show the double standards if the same criticism was labelled at women. So let's see what the sheikh says, which triggers this whole debate.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my beloved brothers and respected sisters. May Allah bless you and bless your families. Alhamdulillah, we're here at the Multicultural Youth Center, Masjid Aisha. Obviously, we're starting to clean up and paint the whole place, bi'idhnillah. Steam cleaned the carpet. Alhamdulillah, we have many of the brothers and sisters that are helping us. For those brothers, mashallah, that they try to resolve the world's problem during the night, mashallah, and they sleep until midday, come to my center or at any other masjid or any youth center and go and help, inshallah. Do your utmost best, and please stop being useless to your wife. Get away from her, bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal, and try your utmost best to be useful. May Allah protect you and protect your family. May Allah bless you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So basically the sheikh depicts certain Muslim men for being lazy, for being a nuisance to their wives, and trying to, change the world on social media and sleeping in all day, right? Instead, they should come out and help around with the masjid. The masjid needs some maintenance work, come do that. Now, when this is said about men, we all accept it, we all have a joke, we all see the amusement, the humor about it. But I pointed out, if the same thing the sheikh said against women, if he said, for instance, sisters should go home, focus on their cooking and cleaning the house, instead of gas bagging and wasting all their time on TikTok and Instagram, right? You should go home and maintain your house, things like this. Stop lazing around, right? Stop being a nuisance towards your husband. Stop being a nuisance to your friends. Stop being a nuisance gas bagging and backbiting all day. The feminists would put Abu Hamza, this man, this sheikh, they would crucify him on social media. How dare he belittle women like this, right? So I pointed this out in the comments. So Dima al-Kurdi, all right, this, of course, modern day hijabi. This was her remarks at the sheikh belittling men like this. And of course, the sheikh isn't belittling all men. He's talking about certain aspects of men. And I can agree that, yes, there are men who can be nuisance and who can be lazy. But obviously, he's not generalizing to say it's all men. We can understand this. But look what Dima writes. Dima al-Qudri, the feminist hijabi, writes, lots of laughter at the calm, subtle messages in this video. May Allah reward you guys and allow us to live to witness another Ramadan. Ameen. So she laughs about this, right? So my response is, imagine the uproar from the sisters if you said the same about women, right? And look at the knee-jerk reaction. Dima al-Kurdi writes, I don't need to imagine, the sheikh has been dealing with many couples throughout the years, and clearly he's mentioned the above for several reasons, according to his experience and what he deals with. So here, she's basically giving anecdotal evidence that apparently this sheikh is seeing that most men apparently are lazy and they're being a nuisance towards their wives. So she says this by saying this is the sheikh's personal experience. She then says, Also, just for your info, for the next time, if you wish to use a tag, use your comments. It's called double standards, not standards. So she's trying to now, focus on my typo. Because I did a typo mistake, and like everyone, I made a mistake, that's fine. But notice they focus on typo errors to focus on criticizing the individual's intelligence rather than the argument made, which is another move made by feminists to discredit those who expose their ideas. So my response back to Dima Al-Kurdi is, oh, did I trigger your feminist views? I didn't know I was sitting an English exam. It was just a typo, but you pointing it out was cute. So what are you suggesting? So according to his experience, it's men who are the problem, is it? Of course it is. Can I ask, are you a feminist man-hater? I'm sure if I said the same thing, that I've seen many examples of women ruining marriages and being so problematic. Imagine I started quoting hadiths like most women are in hellfire. Perhaps the Prophet predicted the bad treatment of women towards their husbands. I'll be labelled a misogynist, right? If I said those things. Dima Al-Kurdi writes back and says, oh God, here we go with the name calling. Which feminist views are you on about? I'm not a feminist, and please add other words to your vocabulary. I simply stated to you that the Sheikh has dealt with many couples and families before. I did not say one gender is problematic and the other isn't. Clearly you've been through an experience and have been hurt either as a child or an adult or something. Allah Alem, she says, seek therapy. She then goes on to say, also, no thanks, please don't quote any hadith. You need to know the context and explanation, etc., of it before doing so. Leave that up to the people of knowledge and scholars. When you quote random stuff, you can turn people off the din and also lead to some people leaving the din, so be careful of that. Now, this is the ironic part. Remember, she says leave it to scholars, but she then goes on to try and explain the hadith herself. She says, for your info, listen, for your info, the fact that more women will be in hellfire compared to men is because our numbers outweigh the number of men. Especially closer to the day of judgment. It's not because we are a bad species. On the contrary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet, peace upon him, elevated the status of women, so don't try to use hadith out of context against anyone to suit your own thoughts. She says, I don't have the time to go back and forth with you. Look, notice she's running away. When she faces an educated Muslim, she's running away now. She says, Ramadan is around the corner. Best we prepare for it and pray that Allah accepts our worship. So notice the sinister, right? If Ramadan is around the corner, why is she engaging in such debates? You can't start the fire and then assume that it's just going to go away. You either start the fire, continue with the debate, and you finish it off. You don't start something and then say, oh, Ramadan's around the corner, and run away. So let's go ahead and refute this feminist. So she says, here we go again. With the name calling, here we go again. Notice, I'm not surprised by that statement, here we go again. How many confrontational debates have you been with men? I'm not surprised. She says, I'm not a feminist. Really? I've heard that before. She writes and says, I simply stated to you that the Sheikh has dealt with many couples and families before. I did not say one gender is problematic and the other isn't. I did not say one gender is problematic and the other isn't. So this is what she said. Reply, why are you now backtracking? You clearly used Abu Hamza's personal experience as evidence for men being a nuisance towards their wives and being lazy. Now you're saying, no, women are also at fault. Clearly you've been through an experience and have been hurt. Then you said clearly that I've been through an experience and that I've been hurt as a child or an adult or something. Allah alam, and she tells me to seek therapy. My experiences. And here's my reply. So Abu Hamza's experiences are valid experiences, but me, I need to seek a therapist. How laughable. Also, you wrote, no thanks, please don't quote any hadiths. You need to know the context and explanation of it before doing so. Leave that up to people of knowledge and scholars. And then you say when you quote random stuff, you can turn people off of the din, whatever. So the response to that, so you continued your diatribe and you said, for your info, the fact that more women will be in hell compared to men, you spoke about numbers, that they will be greater number, especially to the closer to the day of judgment. Okay, so let's respond to that. This is getting more funny by the minute. You first say, let's leave the hadiths to scholars, and then you took the time to explain the hadith. Are you a scholar, or only you get that privilege? See, these feminists can't even be consistent with their own argument. They tell us that we shouldn't misquote or we shouldn't give our interpretation to the hadith, we should leave it to scholars. And then she goes around, tries to give her interpretation to the hadith and claim this has got to do with numbers, more women in hell. Is this got to do with numbers, that women will overpopulate men and this is why more of them are in hellfire, and it's not to do with them being prone to evil. So these modern hijabi women will swear they are not feminists. But soon as you bring the hadith regarding more women in hell, they have a knee-jerk reaction. They then lie about the hadith and say, this has nothing to do with women being more sinful, rather this is about women outnumbering men due to their population. Of course, they will bring up hadiths that women will outnumber men. And that, of course, is just in the end times. So how do you compare the end times to thousands of years? You can't do that. So how do you then justify that to say, well, that was the reason? However, this isn't the reason, and it isn't true. If it were, the Prophet himself would have said that was the reason, but he didn't. He rather said the reason, and the reason's actually in the hadith. He says that the reason why majority of the women are in hell is because compared to men, they do less charity and also are ungrateful for their husbands. And I think there's also a reason too. I can't remember from the top of my head. And here is another funny point. They swear they are not feminists, but wish for equal rights in Jahannam. They can't accept more women in hell compared to men. They have to be equal number of men and women in Jahannam. Which in itself proves that you are a feminist, because you even want equal rights in Jahannam when it comes to numbers. The fact that you can't accept more women in hell is proof that you are a feminist. I mean, if Allah said there are more men in hell compared to women, I'd accept it. I'd say, okay, that's what Allah said, that's it. I'm not going to go and spin my own interpretation out of it, right? But of course, because you're a feminist and you're infected by feminists, you can't accept the fact that there are more women in hellfire than men, which is proof that you are a feminist. But I thought you said you weren't a feminist. Also, I don't wash down the religion in fear of people leaving. I'd rather have real people in Islam and not fake ones. Also, why start a debate if you want to run? And of course, she did not respond or reply back, which proves the cowardice in these feminists, and they just shotgun and run. Yes, and Ramadan Mubarak to you. So there you go, folks. Their whole agenda has always been, from the very beginning, to always blame men. Whenever a divorce happens, it's the man's fault. It's never the woman's fault. Generally speaking, men are the evil people. Men are the people who commit all the crimes and all the murders and all of these barbaric things. Men have always oppressed women. So because they have this subconsciously in their mind, they think that it's generally the case for men who do all of these atrocities. Despite the fact that the Quran, the Hadith, specifically it says that women will be in hellfire. Majority. But they want to disregard that. They want to disregard that and say, no, this can't be it. There must be a different interpretation. Again, the hadith refutes their feminism, their feminist ideology of trying to project women to be angelic. That women cannot do wrong. It's the man always at fault here. It's the man that generally is always faulting here. And then when you press them, when you expose them, oh, no, we're not really picking on a gender. We're just picking on, we're really neutral about this. They're not neutral. They're lies. They know deep down, and they always love to blame men for everything that happens.